Hey everyone, and welcome back. I want to talk about user flows, and more specifically, I want to talk about the one user flow that is registering for the product, because it's very important for something like this. Now, if you have images of your sketches or other types of resources that you think are going to help you, you can bring those images right into Figma easily by just going over here and by placing the image. And that's the shortcut for Mac users, and you'll see it there for Windows users as well. So that's an easy way, or you can copy and paste that image directly from a website. You can copy and paste it from another file. So I have all my assets here. I have even like a title asset and a details asset and a device asset additionally to what we have here. I'm going to create a large frame by pressing F. I'm just going to bring that over there. So I'm going to rename this one just generally just onboarding. Then I'm going to place my title in there. Doesn't really matter. I'm being, a little messy, and that's okay. Now the title of this flow it's one of the most important things. I think it should be like registering for our product. So let's type that in. Okay. And let's bring in our device and our details frame. So I'm holding shift while I'm selecting both and just dragging them directly in the frame. And you can see that pop up over here in the layers panel. I also have an arrow here, so we can keep that trusty arrow. Okay, so this is going to be our step one. And when I think about just the first step of registering for a product, I am going to start typing before I actually start designing just yet, like just placing things within this device. But the first thing I think about is like the user arrives at our welcome screen and notices a button to proceed forward to registration. Perfect. I think we should probably have like a little thing here that says this step is skippable, or the user can skip this step. Okay, so I'm just gonna increase the frame. So I'm gonna hold down Command or Control and just bring that up here, so that way we have a lot of space. The one thing I want to stress here is that the first thing somebody sees when they come into the website or the product is that they are essentially, they are going to see like a welcome screen of some sort. So I duplicated this and brought it into here. You can just like copy and paste it as well. So I'll just grab a button here, like a primary. I'm going to copy that and click my frame and paste it. And there we go. You can also go ahead and I like to use colors sometimes because I think it helps just show you, what are the interactive states? Like, do they click this and then do they click something else? So I think this is just going to suffice as like some sort of welcome screen. Then we're going to move over to the next screen. So you can see you can start building these out rather quickly just by thinking, even in your head. I would actually sketch these out first and think about every single flow you have and which ones are really important for the success of your product. Like, you don't need to do like a normal login flow. You could, it would take you probably like 5 minutes, but I think that kind of design pattern is pretty normalized. When you're thinking about things that are much more custom, like this registration, where step 2 may be something like the user is prompted to add their email and password. They can confirm those details. So this is pretty standard, but I think we need to also mention it. But let's actually copy this whole container. We can throw it in there. There we go. Finally, we can remove that just by pressing delete while clicking it and remove this one. So, and then there probably should be maybe a back button. So I'm going to take this whole container and paste it in. Take this black, and I'm going to use the color picker by pressing I. and select that blue. So we have like a primary and secondary. Maybe this is like a skip button or something like that. And I don't know. I'm just trying to cover some bases while I'm also thinking a little bit about wireframing at the very, very simplest and most basic stage. So we have this step. Now, this is where things are going to get interesting because like I said just before this step, you are going to have situations where you have very custom flows that really need to be thought through, and user flows are going to be the best way to do that. So I'm going to increase that frame. Let's think about this third step. Now, step 3, I'm going to jump right in there and I'm going to go right into my details. So the user can add a photo or skip the step. And I think that's fine. So maybe, there's some customization aspect. And we can take this one column image and we can throw this here. And, at this point, you can do a couple different things. I'm going to ungroup it by using Shift-Command-G, or you could do Shift-Control-G. Oops. Oh, never mind. This is actually, the frame is actually the piece here. So we can make it smaller and you can start customizing that. And we all know how to use auto layout now. So there's no real need to explain how that works, but you can, mess with the alignment if you need to here. But I'm just going to keep everything centered for the sake of simplicity. Let's get into a little bit more of the custom, the custom stuff that we're going to see in this flow, or at least I think we're going to see. So I think the big part of this app is just like customization in general. And we want the user to be able to, add things about themselves. They can, pick, let me think, they can pick interests and hobbies to personalize their shopping experience. So I think this is another thing that we didn't really talk about just yet. When we're thinking about a whole flow here, it's very straightforward. Even though this flow is a little bit longer, I think it is fine because it's like one step after the other, just outlining each step, what's skippable, what's not skippable, what are the areas that you can truly manipulate if you need to. So I'm going to take this one column asset and just paste it into here. Oops. I'm going to click into this device, paste it, and I'm going to move it with my arrow keys. And I'm going to just delete this image at the very top. So it kind of acts like a title. I'm going to set this to hug the contents. And I can just bring everything to the top. So say there are maybe, I don't know, a bunch of categories that they can click. Here, let me back up there because I don't know if they'll have paragraphs or anything like that. Not that that's important, but I think it's good to try and be, I guess you could say, a little bit truthful in what type of content may actually be there. And the last step, and I think this is going to be it after this step right here, but I'm going to select all these, and you can do that just by dragging your cursor or by clicking Shift. So I'm going to do that. I'm holding Option Shift and I am dragging it, so it's kind of acting like a duplicate. Okay, now this is step 5. So I think step 5, ignore the actual design in there because I don't think that's what it's going to look like. But step 5 should probably be something like, okay, I've picked my hobbies, interests, it's going to personalize my shopping experience. Now I should get some sort of confirmation and I'm done. Like happy, success, that's it. So success, the user has registered for the product and can now access all of the member related features. This is just off the top of my head, but you can kind of see how this does follow the same line of thinking when it comes to just the general way things should flow with a user flow. So I'm just going to paste that in there, and I'm going to once again make everything centered. And there's like my confirmation screen. I know it's not like beautiful or anything, but it definitely gets the point across. And these blue buttons are like, this is what I'm really clicking on. Maybe we can even come in here and, you know, just set one of these, we can set these colors. See, these are the selection colors. So if you click them and you select like say blue, then we're starting to select everything as blue. Then you can go ahead and maybe adjust the opacity here. I mean, you can say that this is clickable and so is this. So color picker while I'm selecting that and just pick the color. And these are a little bit interactive. So you can go ahead and do that across the board if you really want to. Not necessary at all. I mean, I think the details are the most important part. As you can see how I've basically laid out every single step, what can and can't be done, and kept it really, really succinct. And that's how we created our first user flow for registering for a product.